Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
The following is independently produced programming. The views and opinions expressed are those of the producers and do not reflect the views and opinions of Falls Area Community Television, our staff, or board of directors.
Secrets in the shadows, lost and found. Truth in every echo, loud and clear. Keep on with the long road, no more fear. In the halls of power, whispers grow. Every secret cracked beneath the undertone. Honest stories hidden in the glass. On this long road, in the truth we trust.
Welcome to The Long Road. I'm your host, Chris Roberts. Today, I'm going to talk about Donald Trump. What do Americans think of Donald Trump? What do they think of his character, his morality, his ethics? But before we jump into Donald Trump, who created Donald Trump? How did Donald Trump become president in the first place? Well, Donald Trump became president because of a lot of self-interested cowards, both Democratic side and both Republican side. Okay, when anybody joins the Marine Corps, especially on the officer side, but on the enlisted side, you're given a list of leadership principles. And so if I take those leadership principles and go all the way down the list of those leadership principles, Donald Trump does not even meet the criteria of one single leadership. So, a young man or a young woman, maybe just out of high school, a week earlier, when they go into Paris, Island, or San Diego, they're up front and said, if you're going to be a Marine, these are the fundamental leadership items, abilities, skills that you must work on and accomplish. If you can't do that, you're not staying in the Marine Corps. And if you can't do a bunch of them and show progress, you're not leaving boot camp or officers candidate school. Plain and simple, you must have these leadership positions, character, ethics. You're looking out for the well-being of others, okay? But Donald Trump doesn't have any of them. You know, when you look at Donald Trump and even some of the things he said, he has gone out and he said some pretty nasty stuff. He's done some pretty nasty things. If you look at Donald Trump's father, and while they were working in New York City in businesses, they look about, well, you know what? Black people are not allowed in their housing. And you're going, wait a minute. There's a lot of racist things. There's a lot of taking advantage of things. There's a lot of being hypocritical. Oh, I don't want illegal aliens in the country, but I have no problem hiring illegal aliens to save me money. Even in his business dealings, his Trump University took a lot of money in, so he had to pay a fine because it's a bogus university, but he made more money by the time he paid the fine. His business, Trump Casino, Trump Hotel, okay? A lot of people invested in him, but he took the money out before it failed. So, and technically, He's never suffered a personal finance bankruptcy, but he's done his former businesses that used to have his name on have gone bankrupt. Even now, the digital coin business, it looks like him and his family made a lot of money, but the investors, it's now in junk bond, junk stock. It's a penny stock, and it's about to be delisted unless it can get up over $1. But why? And I go in and I say, in 1916, here's the Republicans. You had a number of quality Republicans running for the nomination. And so here's the junkyard bully coming up, acting like bullies do, saying things, I don't care. Oh, if I want to, I can shoot someone in New York City and nothing will happen. Or if I want to grab a woman by the crotch, nothing would happen. Things that you would never want. You go in and say, oh, I would never want my daughter or granddaughter to marry an individual like that. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even want my daughter or my wife or my granddaughter to even be near him. And it's like, but the Republicans peeled away. And it's like, we're not going to deal with it. We're just going to let the bully be the bully. Then it goes, on the Democratic side, no sense in having the primaries. We've already set up with these superdelegates and everything. Hillary's already nominated, so we'll just go through the motions. No one else has another chance. We have anointed Hillary as the Democratic candidate for president. And I'm going, you know what? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that a lot of people in the United States do not like Hillary. And there's a lot of things that was questionable about Hillary's business transactions. And there was things questionable about how people were coming up dead, committing suicide. And so there was just so you have Donald Trump, a very defective candidate that the Republicans rolled over and weren't doing anything. Then you have Hillary Clinton, anointed by the National Democratic Committee, going for presidency. Hillary was too egotistic, and she lost some of the states like Michigan, Wisconsin, because she's, hey, no big deal, I'm going to win. Nope. If you are pretty egotistic and you think you deserve something, no, you're going to be quite surprised. The old rule is play like you're losing, play like you're behind, and work your butt to win, to work your butt to get up front. Do not take it for granted. So in 2016, yes, the Americans were faced with which would be the lesser pick. Yes, you've got Donald Trump. Yes, Donald Trump acted like a male chauvinist pig, but you know what? there was an awful lot of guys in the United States that wanted to be able to act like a male chauvinist pig, just like Donald Trump, because they think they deserved it. They were upset that women were demanding equality. Women were getting better educated. Women were getting jobs. Yeah. A lot of men wanted to be like the Tate brothers, who were telling them, hey, the Tate brothers were being accused of using abused women and other more not so nice things. And so you've got a lot of men who are going, you know what? Hillary is everything that's screwing us over. And so if I vote for Hillary, it's going to be even worse for me. So we get Donald Trump. Donald Trump played to the male ego, and he said, you know what? Your lack of education, your lack of desire, your ability, hey, you know, I'm going to sit down on the sofa and slug down a six-pack of beer as I watch the baseball game or watch the football game, has nothing to do. It's all anti-discrimination laws that were forcing the companies to hire women over you. And they believe Donald Trump. Okay? So we got here. Let's go in 2020. Only 15% of Americans liked the way Donald Trump conducted himself as president. Say if it's 50-50 Democrats, Republicans, and overall only 15% of Americans approved how he conducted himself as president, 51% disliked his conduct as president. The remaining 31% expressed mixed feelings. Surprisingly, only 31% of Republicans could bring themselves to say they liked the behavior of the man that most of them supported. What did we say? Wait a minute. If I go out and find 100 people in 2020 who voted for Donald Trump in 2016 and support him in 2020, only 31% agreed with his behavior. So if you have this moral high ground, why are you supporting someone that's so low, has little to no moral character? Americans have taken their measure of President Trump's character and they don't like what they see. 80% regard him as self-centered, 59% as prejudiced, and only 36% of Americans find him honest, and 32% find him morally upstanding. So 2 out of 3 Americans have serious questions about his moral character. Only 1 out of 3 Americans feel he's an honest person. 59%, 3 out of every 5 Americans says he's a prejudiced individual. Republicans under the age of 30, it's pretty balanced, 50-50. who approve and disapprove of President Trump in 2020. Republicans 65 and older, 80% of them do not support Donald Trump. They do not approve of him. They don't approve of his conduct, his ethics. Republicans with college degrees and more education are more than twice as likely to express disapproval than those with no more than a high school diploma. Similar difference between moderate and conservatives. Okay, this kind of is are people voting for a morally bankrupt candidate? Someone they feel is dishonest, self-centered, prejudiced? Are they voting for that individual because the people around them are voting for them and they feel pressured? And then all of a sudden, when I get to do a survey without anybody knowing, I can be honest. So, you know what? It's one of those, 2 or 3 people come and say, yeah, I'm voting for Donald Trump. Who are you voting for? Oh, voting for Donald Trump. Peer pressure. America's disapproval of President Trump's personal conduct is deeply entrenched and unlikely to change. Survey in mid-2017 and 2018 file yield similar results. So we have the Republican leadership, the Republican National Committee, Republican politicians go, you know what? If we let Trump come in, it could benefit me personally. Or you got other Republicans are going, you know what? It looks like Hillary's going to win. Okay, so let him go out and get shellacked by Hillary. And so none of us will be damaged and we'll be ready to run 4 years from now. Again, these candidates running for president in 2015, 2016, they're looking out for their own political self-interest, not caring about what's best for America. They figure, Hillary is going to win, and so why should I get beat by Hillary? Wow. 2020 comes, and they're going, what are we going to do? Who wants to run against Trump? Does Hillary want to run against Trump? Well, she doesn't want to get beat twice. She doesn't want to take the risk. So she goes, I'm out of it. Okay? Some of the other people, well, nope, we can't have Bernie Sanders, so the Democratic National Committee has to find ways to sabotage Bernie Sanders. Okay? What are we going to do? Bernie Sanders is doing too well. And I think Joe Biden finished something like 5th down in up here in New Hampshire. So what does the Democratic National Committee goes? You know what? Who can we pick? Oh yeah. Let's pick good old Joe. If he loses, he loses. What's the big deal? Because a lot of times presidents usually get reelected for the second term. and all this stuff is going on. We got COVID, we got this, and we got that. We're not really thrilled about this. It's too much of a risk. So, you know what? Democratic National Committee members, they sit down with the black representative of South Carolina and says, hey, we want Joe as the candidate. We have to stop Bernie. So he goes, hey, let's cut a deal. He goes in and says, hey, Joe, if I get your electoral vote, I mean the delegates from South Carolina, what are you going to give me? Joe goes, you know what? I'm going to put a black woman as vice president, and I'll put a black woman on the Supreme Court. Deal. So Joe Biden overwhelmingly wins. Okay? So now Joe Biden goes in. So they go, hey, you know what? If good old Joe loses, good old Joe loses. And plus, good old Joe told the Democratic National Committee, I'm pretty old and everything. I thank you for this opportunity. And if I get elected, I'm one term and I'm out. Hey, the deals are cut. Unfortunately, the American people were not considered on this. So now you have defective Joe against defective Don. Okay? And one thing about defective people, if you're not going to stand up to them, they're going to love you and they're going to take advantage of you. So, defective Joe beats defective Donald. Okay? Hey, so Donald is about to disappear into the sunset. So, defective Joe and some of the Democrats say, hey, you know what? We need to teach Donald a lesson. And they start sending all these court cases against them. You know, you don't put a former president in jail. You let the bully die. You let the bully just dissipate. I'm not talking about death. I'm just talking about die away, get out of the public, plain and simple. You move him off the stage. But no. But then defective Joe says, you know what? I like being the president. I have no idea what's happening at times, but I like being the president, and I changed my mind. I'm running for re-election. Okay. But wait a minute. You got like the governor from Pennsylvania. Democratic National Committee. Nope, he can't run. He's Jewish. Oh, crap, we got Bernie. We can't allow Bernie in either. So, at the last minute, we send in word salad. Vice President Harris doesn't have a chance. And so, again, we got Donald Trump. Because no one on the Republican side, well, there was a few that were willing to stand up to him. But you know what? No one was standing up because they were looking for their personal self-benefit. The Democratic National Committee was looking to take care of this small clique. The American people suffered. because we were not considered at all. We were just, give me your $5 for my campaign. Just vote for me. Buy a sticker. Buy a yard sign. Write a letter. Here, we're going to write you a letter. Sign this letter and send it as a letter to the editor. Or maybe we'll get all you people, so when I'm giving a speech, you can all stand in the back of me like dummies. Don't say anything. The only thing you're allowed to do is smile. Okay? Yep, you got to be the right age, you got to be the right color, you got to be the right gender. All those things, they pick them out in advance, It's just like advertisers for commercials. Okay. Now let's come up to 2025. 2 months after Donald Trump is inaugurated as President of the United States. The 65% of the people said Donald Trump was arrogant. 57% said, oh, he's optimistic. 56 said he's reckless. 54 says he's dishonest. 54 said he's corrupt. Wait a minute. How does someone with all those negatives get to be elected to the presidency of the United States? Well, if I was going to argue, I would just throw voter fraud right back at the Republicans, because if I have an individual that's considered by the majority of the people arrogant, optimistic, reckless, dishonest, and corrupt, I don't think the majority of the people would vote for him. Well, again, what was their choice? You have Harris, and Harris just didn't have the ability to connect with the average American. Yeah, she connected with college-educated women, but there's not enough college-educated women to win an election. Look at some of them. Only 22% of the people felt that he was likable. Only one out of five Americans like him. Only 1 out of 4 Americans feel that he's a compassionate individual. Only 3 out of 10 people think he's authentic. 1 out of 3 thinks he's competent. 1 out of 3 thinks he's intelligent. Less than 2 out of 5 thinks he's a strong leader. Almost half the American people say he's uninformed. Almost half says he's ineffective. He's racist. He's insecure. He's divisive. And he's hypocritical. So, let's see. So if we go arrogant, reckless, dishonest, corrupt, hypocritical, divisive, insecure, racist, ineffective, uninformed, unqualified, incompetent, authentic, compassionate. Okay? Those are all critical leadership traits. And he's failed in every single one. So how in the world does someone that the American people think is such an immoral, unethical, corrupt, hypocritical individual get to be president of the United States, president of a country that's supposed to have the high moral ground, being that beacon on top of the hill for the world. How can we as a nation elect someone like that? How can we as a nation allow gerrymandering to do as much as possible to ensure that he gets to stay to be president of the United States, that he's not impeached, or that he has the right house, the right numbers in Congress to continue to do what he wants? Yes, he has to be the most corrupt person to ever hold the office of presidency of the United States. But corrupt people do not rise to that level anymore unless they move up with a foundation made of corrupt people, self-centered people. Okay, when you look at Congress, there are a lot of corrupt people in Congress. They do not care about you or I. They will do what they're bought and paid for. Okay. Look at the Senate race in New Hampshire. There are going to be tens of millions of dollars spent by both parties on the New Hampshire Senate race. And very few of that money will come from people in New Hampshire. It will come from businesses who will figure who can best help me increase my profit. Okay? But look at the two individuals that are running. Are you excited about any of them? Do you really have a choice? Both of them were anointed. You got one that lost a Senate seat years and years ago, nowhere near qualified as his brother who was governor. And those are the choices? Congressman Pappas, boy, talk about someone that's really bland. Where's the charisma? How can you, inspirational. Those are anointed. Okay, in 2025, in March, nearly all Democrats says Donald Trump is arrogant. Yes, he is arrogant. But at the same time, the vast majority of the Republicans take that view of arrogance and says he's a strong leader. Okay. Okay. So a Democrat can go and say, the reason I'm voting for Harris because Harris is I'm voting for Harris because Donald Trump is so arrogant and sexist and prejudiced. Okay? Yep. That's the way the people that were running the political campaign says. Yeah, attack them that way. The Republican go, hey, look at Kamala Harris. What's her leadership abilities? Look at how many her jobs were not the best. You know, when well, you can argue, yeah, I was dating the speaker, but the speaker was separated from his wife. You know, that doesn't go over very well with a lot of Christian denominations. So they can say, oh yeah, compared to Kamala Harris, Donald Trump is a strong leader. While the other one, compared to Kamala Harris, Donald Trump is arrogant, sexist, and prejudiced. Donald Trump, yeah, Americans like to trust Donald Trump on immigration and crime. Yeah, a large share of Americans had a lot of trust in Trump's ability to handle immigration. 47% of the Republicans said that he would be able to handle immigration. In the last year, that's gone among Republicans. That's dropped from 93 to 79. Fewer Republicans have a lot of trust in handling of each. Foreign policy, only 72, 71 for crime. Foreign trade, 69. The economy, 67. And democracy, 67. And as far as Democrats gave no higher than 8% on any of them. Well, here's the problem with Democrats. They're doing what they're told to do. You're being brainwashed and say, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. It's kind of like if Trump does anything good, you must tear it apart. And so that feeds right into the Republicans going back and saying, yep, he just did this. So now you are now giving the other guys ammunition to support an arrogant, racist, sexist, corrupt person. Okay, yeah. In 2025, March of 2025, 40% of Americans think the United States is an oligarchy. Basically, I don't count. It's big business. Hey, Elon Musk is looking to be a trillionaire. You know, look at Apple, you look BlackRock, you look at all these. Hey, different AI companies, Microsoft, Mega. Hey, Amazon, look at how many of them were behind the president, sucking up to be behind the president inauguration, and it just so happened they happened to donate $1 million, and that had nothing to do with that. And in 2025, 53% of Democrats felt that there would be a total economic collapse, and 28% of Republicans thought there was going to be a serious economic downturn. Well, let's fast forward 15 months from March 2025 to today. Hey, inflation's the highest it's been since COVID. Gas has been over $4 for a while. Diesel fuel has been over $5. No, not much fertilizer, not much helium, whole bunch of stuff that's not there. And pretty soon when the crops are supposed to be harvested this summer, the prices of food is going to be higher. And you go, what do you wonder what the Americans think? America's assessment of Donald Trump has declined steadily over the last several months. His job improvement now stands at 34%. So 2 out of every 3 Americans do not agree or do not approve of Donald Trump's job performance. 2 out of 3. So let's think. If there's 50 Republicans and 50 Democrats, and we say 50 Democrats do not approve of his job, that would be 16% of Republicans would not be approving of his job. So that means 32% of the Republicans, 1 out of every 3 Republicans, do not approve of the president's job. Stands up for what he's believed. In November 24, it's 55. Now in April of 26, it dropped down to 44. Keeps his promises. In November, on election day, it was 51. Now it's 38. Honest on election day, 42, down to 34. Good role model, election day, 34, April 26. And we'll go. And then the share who described Donald Trump as mentally sharp is now 44, dropped down from 48. And so, wait a minute, is Donald Trump going down the road of Joe Biden when it comes to mental acuity? He's been rushed to the hospital and he's seen a lot of doctors recently. He's been falling asleep. He's been slurring his words. And so he's 80 years old. People go downhill pretty fast. And he likes to say he's 6'4", 215. That's only in his dreams. He's at least 2 inches shorter and much bigger. I saw one little meme. It says, Donald Trump, 250. And they weren't talking about the American anniversary. They were talking about his weight. So the thing is, will Donald Trump weigh 250 pounds by July 4th? That's a good question. You know, those 12, 13 Diet Cokes and all those cheeseburgers and no exercise, getting out, swinging the golf club and getting back in the cart is not exercise. When he got elected, 53% of the people felt confident in his ability to make good decisions. Now, only 41% of the people believe he has the ability to make good decisions on immigration policy. Oh, last summer, 46% of Americans felt that Donald Trump, they were confident in his ability to use the military properly. Oh, that's down to 38. And as Republicans keeps his promise. He's down 14 points from last year. Used military force for Republic down 11 points. Foreign policy down 7 points. While most Trump voters still approve of the way he's handling his job, to share his thinking. When he first got elected, 95% of people who voted for Trump approved his way handling his job as president. Now, it's down to 78. The majority now say the level of ethics in government is falling under Trump. In 2025, on Inauguration Day, 47% of Americans said that the level of ethics would drop under his presidency. That number is going up to 56. On Inauguration Day, 31%, 1 out of every 3 Americans said Donald Trump would increase the level of ethics in the country. Well, only 19% agree now. Ethics, 56% of Americans say the overall level of ethics and honesty in the federal government has fallen over the past 18 months. 56%. Wait, but then you go, if there's no ethics, well, if you go and say that the president is dishonest, unethical, immoral, what kind of people do you think he's going to hire? The president hired a lot of ethical and moral people in his first term. And they were a control on him. So he basically said, never again. I'm going to hire unethical yes men, yes women, or I'm going to hire people that cover my butt. I'm going to hire people that I can use as the fall person if something gets close. I'm going to hire people that will look in the camera and lie for me. And then I'm going to throw them away like yesterday's trash. Or I'm going to throw them away like my crumpled up McDonald's cheeseburger wrapper. "59% of Republicans on Inauguration Day said the level of ethics would rise as Trump as president, while only 1. So basically, 3 out of 5 people say Donald Trump was going to raise the ethical level and honesty of the federal government. 1 out of 10 said, no, it's not going to happen. That 59%, now only 37% says the level of ethics has risen, while 23% says it has fallen. It's, they have what's called confirmation bias. Once you make a decision, you'll either shut your mind, you'll put blinders on, or you'll spend time looking for information that will confirm your decision. If you go and the president tells you that we went to bomb Iran because of this reason and this reason and this reason, well, you are now going to go to the TV shows and the radio shows and the podcasts that has Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina on it, because he will tell you over and over again it was justifiable because we cannot allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Well, basically, as far as everything looks, Israel has nuclear weapons, and there's no doubt in anybody's mind that North Korea has nuclear weapons. North Korea hasn't attacked the United States with a nuclear weapon. Why hasn't Russia, China, or the United States attacked each other with a nuclear weapon? Mad. Assured destruction. So, if Iran got one nuclear weapon or Iran got 10 nuclear weapons, and Senator Graham says, well, yes, they would launch them as the United States and killing tens and tens of millions of people. Okay? But in one way, if the Iranians had done that, they better have made all their funeral preparations before the missiles land, because America would be annihilating Iran. They would not have to be worried about being bombed back into the Stone Age, because basically all that sand would be crystallized. Okay? So that's what we do. Okay? Even thought there's stuff out there. So, for example, now you got the MAGA group and stuff. Okay? Now their understanding is, well, yes, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. The president is guaranteed. He didn't guarantee anything. When you listen to him, he was just saying why you don't have anything. He was giving you part of the truth. He was confirming your biases. But he never said he was going to correct them. He's a bigot. And he's not just a bigot against black people, yellow people, brown people, red people. He's even a bigot against uneducated people. He's told you over and over again, I love stupid people. I love uneducated people. They vote for me. Okay? That are not the qualities of a leader. That's not even the qualities I would be proud of in my son or my grandchildren, my daughters. He is violated. He does not have any of the leadership qualities that we would demand of an 18 or 19-year-old Marine Lance Corporal. But he's President of the United States. He's in the position to affect our lives, to affect the lives of children, our grandchildren. And look at the people that support him. So if you support a person, so if 60% say he's totally unethical, what does it say about them if they vote for someone that they believe just doesn't have the ethical or moral character that they expect of a leader? Are they too scared of peer pressure that they're willing to allow this unethical, immoral person screw you over, screw your family over, screw your grandkids over, and have a gigantic fight in front of the White House that costs $60 million while children are losing their food stamps, disabled people are losing Social Security, disability, kids are losing free lunch, other ones are losing health care. You know he's wrong. You know it's unethical. He knows it's immoral. He's selfish. He's arrogant. He's hypocritical. But what does it say about the people that voted for him? But also, what does it say about the tens of millions of people that sat on their butts, did not go out and vote? If you're not going to participate, keep your mouth shut and suffer the consequences for your inaction. Okay? If you don't like what's going on, you have to participate. If a person is immoral, unethical, dishonest, corrupt, and you do not do anything, you support that person or you look the other way, you are just as corrupt and immoral. Think about that.